Hello, all my beautiful people. It is time once again for another amazing episode of If You Give a Data podcast. So this week I have with me MJ Bell. He is a referee. This is a first one for me. I've never had a ref on the show, but I am very excited to have him on. We get to kind of talk about how he got started, and we kind of trailed off into some other subjects, kind of like comic books and things like that. So, we did what I always like to do on the show, and that's just have a conversation and see where it leads to. So for those of you who are tuning in just to hear the MJ Bell episode, I hope that you like what you hear, and that maybe you'll stick around for some of the other episodes that I have in the future, or go back and listen to some of the great episodes that I've already had. So, if you're as excited as I am, then let's get this show on the road.
If You Give a Data podcast. Hey, Dad.
Get back in your car! Go! Get out of here! You can't be here!
I wasn't about to call you Dad, so.
Seriously?
Just for the work rate, brother.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she said he looked like an old piece of leather.
Wow.
Supernatural, which is by far one of my favorite shows, and I will be talking a lot about Supernatural. I will be quoting Supernatural.
Bro.
I just remember because they also, everybody, whenever they came to the ring, goes, ooh, 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 ooh.
What? Okay, before I get started, you ever had a design in mind and you wanted to put it on a shirt or a hat or a cup, but you just didn't know who to go to? Well, come on over to R&L Designs, where they make all of your custom needs come true. They make custom hats, they make custom shirts, they make custom mugs, they even do the tumblers and the glass mugs as well. They do key fobs even. They have great prices, and they have a reasonable turnaround time. If you need anything custom, these are the people that you need to hit up today. You can find them on Facebook, and that is at R&L Designs. You can also find them on Instagram at R&L Designs 19. They have a Facebook page. They have an Instagram page. They update it regularly with new products. You can also message them if you have something in mind. Hit them up today for all of your custom needs. Give them a like, give them a follow. All right, everybody. So today I have with me MJ Bell. He is a senior official at Texoma Pro Wrestling. He's also a senior referee at the Red River Wrestling, a referee at the Midget's Wrestling Warrior LLC. He's a head referee at World Class Pro Wrestling and a referee at Game Changer Wrestling. Man, you have quite the resume going on there for this. MJ, how are you doing today?
That's one hell of a read. No, I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I am excited to have you on the show.
I'm excited to be here.
So, how did you actually get into doing this?
Well, wow, I can make this a long story or make it short. But in short, I found a local wrestling academy, signed up, paid my dues. I was training to be a wrestler, and my trainer, Mitch Baxter, was like, "Can you referee this show for me?" So I wound up down in the stripes, and once the school shut down in 2019, all I had was the stripes. So early last year, a friend of mine, Joe, who wrestles as Coyote, was like, "Do you want to get back into refereeing?" And I was like, "Sure." And, after a couple of shows down at Texoma, I kind of got the feeling that I could really do it. And from there, I just kind of took it more seriously, and this is where I've wound up. So it was a journey.
Yeah.
Just long story short.
Right on. I do know that I think it was Sam Stackhouse. He actually gave a shout out to you and a couple other people as being some of the better referees in this area. Then he was like, book these guys today. So, and I think your name was first on that list.
Yeah, it was my name. There was Colby Copperthwaite. I think I'm saying that correctly. And then it was Dylan Phelps up in Tulsa. So those two guys are from Oklahoma City and Tulsa, respectively. And
Okay.
I've worked with both of them, and they're both outstanding referees.
Right on.
It's been a while since I've worked with Dylan,
Uh-huh.
but I know he still gets around and does stuff. And I know Colby's done Pele Pro down in Dallas, and he's done MLW as well. So there's a good number of referees in the area.
Right.
I'm just really glad to be part of the conversation.
You know, I've talked to a few people and everything, and I told them I was going to have you on the show, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's a good guy. He's good at what he does." So it's very nice to be able to hear that, you know, outside of just a few people. I mean, all the way up here in the area where I'm at, Northwest Arkansas, because I know you're in Texas, I believe.
Yep.
So your name's getting around, man. So you must be doing something right.
I try to promote myself well on social media,
Yeah.
treat everybody with respect, and travel as much as possible as well.
Right
I have
on.
not gotten to Arkansas though.
Haven't done Arkansas yet. Well, we're gonna have to get you up here.
Yeah. I've talked to a couple of guys out there, but maybe one day it'll happen. Maybe one day it won't.
Yeah. So how did you get into refereeing with Game Changer Wrestling?
Well, see, this is late 2021.
Uh-huh.
There's a Twitter account called Daily Use, and the guys who run the account, Roman and Hendricks,
Mm-hmm.
suppose they had to connect with the local guy who had a ring, and they were basically asking for help to set it up during a Game Changer Wrestling show.
I got you.
So I just reached out to them on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
and came in as ring crew, showed up early, helped put the ring together, helped Brett Lauderdale, set up chairs. Brett Lauderdale's the owner of GCW,
Right.
for those who don't know, and just made myself visible. And by the time talent showed up and things started to slow down a little bit, I guess approached Brett, told him who I was, that I would love to wrestle on his show, if not tonight, then in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately on the spot, he gave me 2 matches. It was, I hope I don't forget the names, Jordan Oliver, Nick Wayne, Ninja Mack, and I think Dante Leon in a tag match.
Oh, wow.
And this is If I Die First, and I believe it was the first weekend of February of this year.
Uh-huh.
And that was my first GCW event, and the crowd there was just incredible. I had never felt anything like it. It was so loud. I couldn't hear the announcer. And if you get a chance to look at the match, I know it's a fight, but
Uh-huh.
maybe not many people have. Well, I don't know. If you have If I Die First on Fight, or you can find this match, you can see I look visibly confused, because I'm just like, holy shit, this is incredible energy. And then after that match, I also did Psycho Clown and Gringo Loco in a death match, which was the first death match I ever been a part of.
How was that working in one of those?
It was exhilarating. I'm not a fan of the death match personally, but being in the ring and hearing the response that fans give to it,
Yeah.
specifically those fans, it was something that I have not experienced very often. So for that,
Right.
I loved it.
Yeah.
As far as glass flying around, I try to be very wary about, getting glass in my eyes. So I just turn away. I think about
Right.
investing in some goggles. I got the gloves. I got the long sleeve shirt, because once you drop down on the mat, you've got to count it.
Right.
Hopefully you don't get glass in your hand. But aside from those worries, no big deal. Super fun. Super fun.
Yeah, I know, seeing other hardcore matches and stuff. I think I saw one, and it was Mike Chioda, and there were thumbtacks everywhere in the ring, and he's sitting there just like nothing and just slamming that hand down on the ring to count it. And I'm like, dude, I would be really wary of that.
Yeah. I've seen Aubrey Everett's hand recently too, where she had to cut it. I'm like, sheesh. So I always make sure to wear my gloves. I may get some new ones.
There you go. So are they like the reinforced type gloves that you wear?
Like construction gloves or motorcycle gloves.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. So I'm guessing you probably got into wrestling the same way that everybody else did. Do you have a good story about your first memories of wrestling?
Good stories. Well, I believe I was 4, so this is 1998.
Okay.
Or whenever they had the whole Stone Cold
Yeah.
car accident angle.
Oh.
My father was cooking one night, and he just started screaming, "If you're somebody," the whole rock thing. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what is that?" And he put on Monday Night Raw, and I just got hooked.
That's cool.
And I just, I watched from there. I don't know about any funny stories. I did think that I didn't know it was a work
Uh-huh.
until some tragedy started happening in the late decades. But it was odd because I
Right.
think about it now, and I was like watching WWE Confidential and the
Uh-huh.
Legends Roundtable, and
Yeah.
they're obviously clearly talking like it's a work. But it took me so many years of like watching the show, and like I just don't understand how it's a work. And so Shane kicked Kane into the fire container, the shipping container full of fire,
Yep.
and he showed back up next week. And I was like, how is he not in jail? And I just couldn't figure out how they were doing these stunts and getting away with it.
Yeah, I kind of had that problem too when I was a kid. You sit there, especially the one that really bothered me was it was one that they did with Val Venus, and he was messing around with somebody's girl, and they decided that they was going to cut his man part off of there, and they had the samurai sword to do it, and the lights go out right before they chop. And for weeks I mean, I was, or not weeks, I mean, obviously the next week you knew that he was fine, but for the rest of that week I was like so distraught, and I was like, well, how can they get away with doing this? And it really bothered me. And then you flip it over, and I think it's the same night, and there was, I think at this time Jeff Jarrett was on WCW, and he was doing something where he made a woman get in the ring and eat dog food. And
Yeah,
I'm
how,
just
how old
like,
were you back then?
I mean, I was probably 8 or so, maybe 8 or 9,
Yeah.
something like that, And it just really bothered me. I was like, is this really what in my feeble little mind, is this what the
Right.
world is coming to? Is it becoming this evil? So it really did get at me, but so I'm right there with you. It took me a minute to realize, oh, well, this is just a show, and these people are actually friends, and they're making something every week for us to enjoy. Once I got
Dude,
past that, I was good.
you're hearing that story reminded me of I think it was like 2004 or something, but Eric Bischoff was like, next week I'm gonna drop a bombshell. And I think on SmackDown, like the vignette that they played for a replay of that Raw, they
Uh-huh.
show like a mushroom cloud. And I must have been like, I was probably like 8, 9, or 10.
Right.
And I remember that Monday walking to school so confused, like, how can we continue to go on as a people when Eric Bischoff is about to drop a nuclear bomb on the United States? It just didn't make sense to me. And I never told anyone that, so that's an exclusive for you.
Well, I appreciate that. So, did you have a specific wrestler that you kind of gravitated towards? I know you said your dad. Sounds like he was a rock fan. Was that one of your favorites too?
Yeah, one of my favorites. I think now I've grown to more appreciate it more, but I think at the time my favorite was Triple H.
Triple
I
H.
feel like I feel like he's always been my first favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
Don't know. I really don't know why. I mean, obviously he's great and everything like that, but
Right.
you know, even with all the the Rocks being funny and the Undertaker being dead or whatever, for
Right.
some reason I just like Triple H. Was pretty much of a normal. I mean, he was an asshole, but
He
it's crazy
definitely
for a
was that.
40-year-old to have him as his favorite wrestler. I think now.
Yeah. I I mean, I guess it was also during that time of DX too. So I mean, that makes sense, that you would like him. But I mean, are you talking about like the early 2000s? So right around the Attitude Era, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it's like late '90s, early 2000s,
Yeah.
and then by the time he got to like they call it the Reign of Terror, right?
Yes.
I think by then I even hated him then because when he was beating the hell out of Eugene,
Yeah.
I was once again wondering how could this guy still come to work the next week.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing Eugene show up at, it was one of the ECW one night stands or something like that. He came out there to say hi to everybody, and they were just booing him big time because at the ECW one night stand, anybody who has anything to do with WWE was just evil and wrong.
Right.
And they had Sandman come out there, and he just wailed on him with a kendo stick, And the crowd just went crazy for that, And at that time, I mean, I was older and everything, but at the same time, I wasn't fully. I don't know the word you'd say. I didn't fully know how much of it was real and how much of it wasn't.
Oh, you weren't too smart on it.
Yeah, I wasn't smartened up to the business yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so at that point I was like, are they really messing with a handicap guy?
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely a time to watch it as a child because that's the magic. Thinking of like ECW One Night Stand, that's the kind of like that energy in the crowd. That's the kind of energy I really want to be a part of.
Right. So I know you've got some pretty cool stuff that's coming up. I saw that September is going to be actually a pretty busy month for you, it looks like.
Yep, I got my first ever overseas tour. I'm going to be going to Japan with Game Changer Wrestling from the let's see, I think the first show was on the 26th of September, then the 27th of September, and then our last show was 6 days later on October 4th. So that'll be 3 shows that I'll be doing overseas, working probably Japanese death matches, but having an opportunity to work in front of a different crowd, learn the business from a different perspective. It's going to be very unique.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that being a dream, being able to go over and be a part of that crowd,
Yeah, like honestly, we all have goals. So I have a huge list of goals, and some of my goals, when I put them up this year, was to just do an overseas tour. And it was so realistic and so far away from what I thought was possible that I thought it would just be Mexico. I would just go down to Mexico, do a couple of things, and then come back home. I never thought it'd be somewhere like Japan. So as soon as I found out, I reached out to the head referee and I was like, "Hey, like, how does this work?" And once I got all the details, I did what I had to do. Got the plane ticket. I, kept in constant contact with Brett, and we decided to make it work, and it did.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it is. I'm hoping I get a Ribeiro jacket. Honestly, I'm not sure if they give those to referees, but everyone knows that that's like like a trophy.
Oh, for sure.
Wrestling business, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have multiple reasons why I love Japan, and one is for the wrestling. I love anything that has to do with wrestling there because it's very interesting the way that the crowds react over there, and it's very respectful in the way that they react.
100%.
They take the time to let you do what you want to do, and then they react to it. And I really like that because sometimes the crowds just they just holler to be hollering.
Yeah.
And so I really like that they can just be like, oh yeah, and that they're actually popping for what you just did in the ring. So
yeah.
And the other thing for me is I'm an anime fan.
Gotcha.
So I've always wanted to go to Japan just to see, some of the cool things that they have there because I know, that's a big part of their culture is anime. Yeah. So I would definitely love to go over there to witness that firsthand as well.
It's gonna be something. I hope I get to do some sightseeing down there. I think with this trip, I'm so focused on work and trying to figure out where else can I work, where can I train, where can I help out. But I definitely also want to go and take some time to sightsee. I'm not a big fan of anime. My girlfriend's a huge fan of anime, so I may, try to find some things for her down there.
For sure.
This will be my second time in Japan. I was there for 2 weeks about 5 years ago.
Oh.
On the island of Okinawa. So that was a pretty nice taste of Japan, but that island was so Americanized because it has 13 military bases there. And it's super small. So, obviously about 90% of what I saw was just America somewhere else. But to be in Tokyo, I'll truly feel like I'm in a foreign land. I'm really excited for the experience, really grateful for it.
Yeah. So it's is it just, they're doing 2 shows there, correct?
3 shows.
3 shows, okay.
Yeah, 2 shows back to back, then there's a 6-day gap, and then there's the last show.
Wow.
I believe the last show was called War Ready.
Okay. And so what do you do in between that time? Do you come back here or?
I am staying out there for the duration. So I'll be there from the beginning to the very end, and I'll have the whole 6 days to figure out what I'm going to do with myself. So, that's the fun part.
Yes. That is really cool. That's the way I would want to do it too, because then you do get to take that opportunity to kind of breathe in and relax and see things that you probably normally wouldn't be able to because you are working while you're there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an exciting experience.
Right on. Well, man, I am very happy for you on that.
Thank you.
As soon as I saw that I saw you post it, and I was like, that is really cool. I was grinning from ear to ear, and my wife was actually sitting there, and she was like, "What are you smiling about?" I was like, "Oh, a guy that I'm going to have on the show here pretty soon. He's getting to go to Japan with one of the wrestling companies that he works with." And she was like, "Okay." For her, she's not a wrestling fan at all, so she doesn't get it. And for
Right.
me, I'm over here, I'm popping because somebody that, I just met is getting to live a dream. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that. It is. Thank you. Thank you. It truly is a dream come true. I think what I was trying to get at earlier is that I made a list of goals, and I just want to be that ref that if I'm not on TV, then I want to be known as the best referee.
right,
So to put it simply, there are a lot of great referees out there,
right,
but I want to be the ref that's trusted to come in, do things right, enforce the rules, help the younger wrestlers keep their timing and their pace,
right,
and things of that nature, and just prove that I take this seriously. And
yeah,
that's really what this is all about.
right,
That's really what it's all about, to prove that I take it seriously. I'm willing to pay my dues. I'm willing to learn
yeah,
every aspect of what I have to do in the ring, even if it is just as a referee.
yeah,
That's that's what I'm obsessed with. And the fact that it's also a dream, I'm being able to do something that I've loved my entire life. And I've loved Japanese wrestling too. I used to stay up, up until 4 a.m. to see Wrestle Kingdom with my friends and all that stuff. And we, sit in the car outside of Ring of Honor and just like watch DDT kind of thing. So to know that, I'll just be in that land, really cool. And if I can't work other shows, like Noah's running that weekend, I think DDT's running one of those weekends. So I'll be able to just, as a fan, perhaps be able to enjoy something as well.
right on. Well, I think for me, the one person who really got me to take an interest in Japanese pro wrestling, I would have to say is Chris Jericho. And because I have every single one of his books, and just the way he talks about talked about wrestling in Japan, it was almost a romance story the way he made it sound, And so seeing that and hearing that, it made me want to look into that more. I didn't have a lot of people who were into wrestling around me, so I didn't get to do the Wrestle Kingdom and stuff like that. So a lot of this has come at a later age for me. But still, I love it. And anything that I can get that's wrestling, I love having it in my life.
100%, dude. 100%. I'm right there with you.
So I do see that you are the senior official at a couple of these places. Does that mean that you're the one who usually gets the top of the card matches there?
Yes,
Okay.
that's basically what is a part of being a senior referee at Red River and Texoma, but it's also more than that.
Okay.
What I do as a senior referee there is I book the referees. I do assign the matches, but I always give my guys input and try to give them good matches as well.
Right.
Because we're all there to grow, and I don't need to hog this fight a lot. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I get that.
So that's a part of it. Just the overall development and training of the referees that we have on staff, and finding new referees to come in and do tryouts, so that if a spot opens up, we have someone that we know is capable, because they've worked here and I've helped guide them through just little nuances that perhaps they wouldn't get wherever else they're working. Because being a referee is hard when you're starting out, because not many people can give you really good advice.
Okay.
So that's what I want to change as being a senior referee, even though it's a really, it's Texoma and Red River. It's a huge honor to be able to do that.
Right.
I've had a few good matches though. Really good matches. I think recently Shane Taylor versus Mike Bennett at Red River Pro Wrestling in July was a banger.
Uh-huh.
It was about 110 degrees in there because the AC was out. But
Oh no.
those two told a fantastic story. Those are some of the toughest wrestlers. Shane Taylor is one of the best professional wrestlers I've ever been in the ring with. I think he may be the best, one of the best in the country, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Super underrated guy, super nice guy.
Uh-huh.
And same with Mike Bennett.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot in that match as well, and I try to give my other referees that spot as well.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is a lot of people don't realize this, how big of a part the referee plays in the match. I mean, your job isn't just counting shoulders. You have a very big job to do there in the ring.
Yep.
And I don't think people actually realize that.
No, yeah, it's huge. It's huge when guys. You're a first responder because anything can happen in the ring. First and foremost, you have to be alert and able to check up on people in a match without really getting in the way.
Right.
So having to work around the cameras, having to be able to deliver messages from one wrestler to another.
Mm-hmm.
If there are radios that have like a two-way, you can communicate with backstage. Not many places have that though.
Right.
And then on top of just reacting, knowing where to be, knowing when to enforce the rules, knowing the timing of it. That's one of the things I'm learning now as I move forward in my career is kind of the timing of how I enforce the rules in a big match. Because a lot of referees do it differently. One of the referees I like to watch is Paul Turner on AEW. He's one of the best referees there are today. And I believe Jessica Carr on SmackDown, also another great referee.
Yeah.
There's definitely more to it than sliding your knees and counting the threes.
Right. Yeah, I know that. One thing that I've noticed, a good referee is one that you don't notice until you need to notice them.
Yeah. That's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah. Because one of my favorite all-time referees is Earl Hebner. And I mean,
yeah, Earl Hebner was awesome.
He knew how to be entertaining when he needed to be.
Yeah.
And I like that. And you were talking about the earpiece. The only one that I've ever seen really that have the earpieces is WWE. I don't know of very many other ones that actually do that. And most of the time, you would see it sticking out of like Mike Chioda's ear because his wire would just be hanging off there.
No, I've worked in a few places, local indies, that do use it, and there is a trick that referees can do to make it less noticeable.
Okay.
But I can guarantee if you go into any of my matches for like Journey Pro, it was my first time wearing a microphone. Okay. And I didn't know how to wear it properly, so it's kind of just like dangling off the side of my face. When because that was the most comfortable way for it to be, but really it's supposed to be like tucked behind your ear and back behind your shirt, and then there's a hole in your back pocket so that the wire can just come through to the radio in the back pocket. So you keep it well hidden. But for some reason WWE's is, I guess because they have the mics, they're more obvious.
Right. So for anybody who is wanting to actually get into being a referee, do you have any advice for people, new people that are wanting to get into doing that?
First and foremost, I would recommend going to a wrestling school, just as reputable as a wrestler would want to seek out for training, because it depends on what you want in the business as well. Right. If you just want to, if you just want to be a referee, you can go to your local wrestling company, see if they have a school, see if they help train you, and that's how you go about it. If you want to look at some people to watch in today's era, I would suggest Paul Turner and Jessica Carr. If you want to watch some of the older stuff, let's see, NWA, Tommy Young is one of the best referees. I think any referee would tell you to watch a Tommy Young match. You can find him in the late 80s in the NWA. Some of that stuff on Peacock. Yeah. I do like Brian Hebner and like some of the WrestleMania matches, but just watch a bunch of referees and always try to keep learning, because there's always something to learn. You can always add something to the match.
Yeah. Is Brian Hebner? That's Earl Hebner's son, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I was just
Okay.
watching Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, and I really liked the way Brian was maneuvering himself around in that match. It's pretty slick.
I also like his reactions a lot of times.
Yeah, yeah.
Just that, oh my God, hands on the head reaction, because it's a lot of fun. I've seen, they have some of the matches where recently which match was that where the referee went flying out of the ring and his shoe came off. Even I don't remember what show it was on. I think it was on SmackDown, and it might have been Charles Robbins that happened to. Uh, but
I'm trying to recall that. But I feel like I've seen this recently where I was like, this ref doesn't have any shoes.
no,
I don't know if I don't.
yeah,
That's interesting.
it is, and I'll never forget his run to the ring at WrestleMania. Um,
His reaction once Sean got his shoulder up at two was, I mean, that's storytelling as a referee at
yes,
its finest.
yeah,
Because everyone thought it was over, even him, and he was like, "It's two."
yeah,
That's just awesome. He's a great referee as well.
he is.
He's been doing it forever.
He really has, and he's one that he's been. I guess you could say he's a staple when it comes to that. Uh, one that has paid his dues and gotten his stripes when it comes to being a ref.
Well, he's one of the goats.
Oh yes,
I would love to have a career like his.
yeah. Well, man, I mean, it looks like you're well on your way to that. With the things that I hear about you and you being able to go to Japan here now, and what is that? Is that next week that you're going?
It is the weekend after this upcoming one.
Man, you're probably
So
counting down the days.
not yet. I'm having some issues with a visa.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, I'm still working through that. And once that's all taken care of, then I can I think I'll be excited once I get on the plane. Let's
There
put
you
it
go.
that way.
There you
Once I
go.
get on the plane and everything's taken care of, I'll be excited then. But
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
The
keep pushing.
not counting your chickens before they hatch, I guess, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even want to announce that I was going so soon, but I just felt like it was a pretty good time to do it a month out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you else that you maybe want to announce that might be going on with you in the near future?
Well, no, I don't want. Like I said, I've always got something in the works, but I'm not
Right.
going to jinx myself just yet. You're just going to have to check out my social media and see what lies ahead. But right now, I am all in on getting this overseas tour out of the way.
Awesome. Yeah, I
I
can't.
do have some. I do have some things on my wish list, but nothing confirmed.
Can you tell me some of the things that maybe you have on your wish list?
I would love to work with MLW. I would love to go out to Seattle and work with Defy
Yeah.
and Prestige down in Oregon. If
Hmm.
I mean, I love watching their matches because the energy from the crowd is, that's something that I don't get very often.
Uh huh.
And I just want to feel that. I want to feel a lot of parts of the Indies before, if anything were to happen, that'd be great. But
Yeah.
Defy and Prestige were definitely on the wish list. And I would like to, do Mexico still. I would still like to go to Mexico and Canada
Yeah.
and do some shows there.
Well, like you said, you're right there at the border. That's a very good possibility for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, yeah, I got to get my car worked on before I do all that. I used to drive from Oklahoma City down to Dallas every weekend for like almost a year.
Oh wow.
Now that I'm living in Dallas, it's time to give my car some TLC.
Yeah, I get that. You got to make sure that those wheels are still rolling for you.
Right. It was suck to get over to Mexico and everything starts to fall apart.
That would be awful. I'm sitting here laughing about it, but no, that would be terrible.
Yeah. It would be great for the documentary, but to live through it, no.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a great story. You could write a book about the life of a ref.
Yeah, life of a ref trapped in Mexico.
There you
But,
go.
you know, if this all does wind up to a book, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean that would. I mean that's got to be a dream too. To where you could be able to write a book and tell stories.
I haven't really given it much thought before we just, before I just said it, but man,
Yeah.
I always thought about a documentary, but a book would be cool too. I know that people get other people to write their books,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure if that's narcissistic to want to be able to like grow up and write a book about your life. But
I've never thought of it like that, but I guess I could see where somebody would think that could be narcissistic.
yeah, but I definitely don't want to have any regrets.
Yeah.
So if I missed out on this tour, I would have always wondered, man, what would have happened if I just went to this tour?
Right.
So that's another piece of advice for any refs out there. Just do everything you can. No one's gonna ask you for anything. Referees are a dime a dozen. Some people don't care how good refs are. Some people, it's hard to get booked a lot of places as a referee as well, because some guys just have their set of refs.
Right.
So just take every opportunity you can. I'm probably jumping all over the place.
I am too. Yeah, my brain is just going about 90 million miles an hour here. That's about the way it normally goes. But I like doing my show like this because different things come out and you never know what we're going to talk about.
For a second, I know this is my first interview that I've ever done.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, well, I've done one, but it wasn't recorded for a podcast. It was more recorded to like put into an article. So.
I got you. Okay. Well, I'll make sure and make you sound stellar, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I listen to wrestling podcasts all day, so I'm gonna definitely be playing this one on repeat.
Yeah, I usually I have my wrestling podcast that I listen to, but here lately there's one called No Sleep Podcast that I've been listening a lot to lately, and it is just stories written by people, and then they have a group of people to act these stories out, and they're all horror stories, and so I've been really enjoying that.
Oh, I feel like I've heard one just like that one time. My girlfriend and I took a road trip, and she put me on to a couple of these, and I remember there was one where this guy was like working the graveyard shift to surveil this woman that they had in some box. And he was talking to nobody, like he didn't see anybody, wasn't able to tell anyone where he worked. The girl never did anything, and I think he watched her for about 3 or 4 years, and then started to fall in love with her.
Oh,
and like the perspective of the story was a Reddit post that was just typed up, and someone's like, "Oh, this is the worst job I ever had," and it's just this huge long story, and it has so many twists and turns.
Wow!
But the way this podcast read it, they gave each individual character their own voice. It was pretty intense.
That's cool, though. I love it when they do that. I have another one that I really like listening to, and I've actually been listening to this one since about 2008, 2009, and it's called We're Alive, and it's a zombie apocalypse podcast, and it is a full cast and crew weekly show about this group of people trying to survive the zombie apocalypse in LA. And it's a full, like, completely theatrical type of deal, and it's just wonderfully made. And they're actually on the story that they're doing now is about the children of the original people.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I love that kind of stuff.
What was the name of that?
We're Alive.
We're Alive. So like each podcast is like an episode.
Yes, like they say chapter 3 part 1, and they have 3 parts to one chapter, and it's a full cast crew, all that. They've got sound effects, all the fun stuff.
Wow. I didn't know they were making podcasts like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like podcasting is the new audio drama.
It sounds like it.
Yeah,
I watched that show, Only Murders in the Building, and I know that they do podcasts like that, like. Every episode is like a new thing, but they're doing like news development stuff happening in their lives.
Okay.
But I never thought to listen to some audio drama.
Well, they actually recently just put out a casting call, and I thought about throwing my hat in the ring to maybe do some voice acting.
Oh yeah, man, do it.
I think that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens if I can get around to it, because I'm a dad of 2, and so I have a full-time job on top of doing this. So my plate's pretty full as it is, but if I can find the time to do it, I think I might.
Hey man, go for it. Chase your dreams, dog.
That's right.
Gotta do it.
So I'm guessing with what you do, you actually travel the roads quite a bit. And so do you have, what is your go-to when it comes to listening to things when you're on the road?
Well, let's see. I am a huge comic book nerd.
Okay.
Well, let's say I was. I used to collect comic books a lot from the years 2011 to 2015.
Uh-huh.
And I just fell off because it's an expensive hobby to collect comic books. And I've had
Yep.
retail, I don't know what they call it, like retail regret or whatever.
Uh,
Retailer's remorse, whatever.
buyer's remorse?
Everything. Buyer's remorse, thank you.
Yeah.
Buyer's remorse. Because I would buy these super expensive variants because I thought it'd be worth something someday.
Uh-huh.
And then, I just was like, why am I doing this? These stories are mediocre. Stop reading. But now, back to your original question. I just kind of listen to people's plot summaries on some comic book characters.
Okay.
Things I just don't feel like reading, but over the past year, I've just been getting more and more back into it. If I don't listen to that, I listen to wrestling podcasts, like Something to Wrestle With, or Busted Open, or
Yeah.
Grilling JR, some of
Uh-huh.
those. And then just music to keep me awake, which is something really loud with high vibrations. Like, is there something like orchestra music, for example? I know it sounds crazy,
Oh.
but, it really gets something going
Uh-huh.
in my body, like it's the violin sometimes, the organs, the whole orchestra of it. Just it's really it helps me make through the long drives really bearable because it keeps my mind going.
Right. Have you ever heard of Comic Storian?
Comic Historian, I believe so, but I'm thinking of Cosmopolitan, and I don't know if I'm like getting words mixed up.
Yeah, well, okay, so Comic Storian, if you don't have time to read a comic book, they have YouTube, and I believe they have a podcast now, to where they will pretty much tell you the comic book storyline. So I got behind, and I didn't read the Injustice series, but they had like a 3-hour video on YouTube that just went over the entire storyline of Injustice. And I was caught up and I knew everything that went on, and it was just wonderful.
Yep, that's kind of what I've subscribed to doing. But
Okay.
I listen to Comics Explained.
Yes.
That's my go-to. However, I have read 2 books that I've listened to on there, and
Uh-huh.
haven't read the books. I feel like they left a lot of things out.
Oh,
Like
really?
they weren't really important things, but there
Uh-huh.
were nice little nuances in the actual book.
Okay.
So I might check out Comic Story. It's just now that I live in Dallas,
Uh-huh.
I've working mostly local. I
Right.
haven't really had the call to listen to really
Yeah.
long form videos like that. I try to keep it to like the 50-minute ones, which
Right.
as far as all the good stories are like 5-6 hours.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. When I'm getting back into reading, I'm getting graphic novels from the library. I'm
Uh-huh.
reading Batman Hush right now. I just finished the Phoenix Saga recently. I collected a lot of DC and Image
Yes.
comics.
Okay.
I always stayed away from the Marvel ones, but now I'm kind of catching up on the lore of the Marvel, jumping between timepieces.
Man, I've always been a bigger DC fan than I have a Marvel fan.
The characters are just better.
I love the storylines that they have, and it's just, I don't know, it just, in some ways it seems darker, and I like that, and it's a little bit more serious. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of good storylines in Marvel that can have that dark side to it. If you read like Old Man Logan or something like that. But I like the overall story and the feeling of the DC comic books and Image. Another one that I like is Dark Horse Comics. I don't know if you've gotten into any of them.
I've only read the Star Wars series, the one they put out right before Disney
Okay.
bought it up. So that's the only Dark Horse comic I have in my collection.
Okay. I've got some of, there was a TV show that I watched when I was a teenager. It's called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then they had a spin-off of it called Angel. And Dark Horse made the comic books whenever that show went off the air. And so I have a lot of those comic books.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
have some Smallville comic books, if I remember correctly. That was like the only non-canon
Yeah.
comic book I ever picked up, really.
Did you watch Smallville?
Yeah, I think Smallville is what got me into comic books in the first place.
Okay.
Like one summer vacation, I just downloaded the whole. At the time, it was just 9 seasons. They finished
Yeah.
up with 10, and I
Right.
just spent the whole summer binging it. And I was like, the Superman guy has like a lot of nuance that a lot of people told me he didn't have. So I started to get more into Superman, and then Marvel movies started to come out, and I knew a little bit about Marvel because my dad was a huge fan,
Hmm.
but it kind of piqued my interest as I got older, and then I just kind of fell off from it.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Smallville series and everything, and it was something that even my parents liked with me. It was something that we could enjoy together. And so going to like I said a minute ago, my mind is going a million miles an hour. You were talking about how your dad was a Marvel fan. My dad was a Marvel fan. He's the one who got me into comic books. But the ones that he liked, he was a big Wolverine guy. And that made me a big Wolverine fan. So out of any storyline when it comes to Marvel, I will always choose Wolverine.
I have not been able to. I want to get into the Wolverine storylines and
Uh-huh.
find more about the character, but what I'm struggling with is DC kind of made it easy for new readers to get in because they do so many reboots.
Right.
And with Marvel, it's just things are just kind of spread out.
They are, yeah.
And I don't really know which canon. If I want to read this Wolverine book, is it also
Yeah.
going to be canon when I read this Wolverine book? And that's kind of what I
Right.
struggle with when I really want to get into characters.
And I had a problem with that whenever I started watching like the X-Men movies and stuff like that, because I've always had Wolverine comic books. And they would do something, I'd be like, no, that's not right. You need to stop it. And so I had a very hard time with it. And eventually I just had to get to the point where, you know what, I just have to enjoy it for what it is. And it took me a minute to get to that point, but eventually I got there, and now I can just sit back and enjoy the movies without doing that, because I did that with Marvel when it came to X-Men, and then I've done that when it came to the Batman versus Superman. I had some issues with that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm guessing you had that same problem.
You know what? I actually like Batman versus Superman.
Okay.
I think it was I think I was just excited to see Superman on screen though. I understand everyone disliked it.
Yeah.
I liked where I thought Zack Snyder was going. I
Uh-huh.
liked the different approach. I
Yeah.
don't think I was confused too with a lot of the castings, but
Right.
and everyone's upset about Martha. But I like the whole story. I just felt like there were certain things I would have changed. That was basically Doomsday. That's his
Yeah.
name, right? Doomsday.
Doomsday,
Yeah,
yeah.
Doomsday. Yeah, that was the only thing I didn't like. Anything else, I liked it, and I would rewatch it today and be like, oh, I love this movie.
Right. Here's my biggest gripe with Zack Snyder. I think he tries to throw too much into his movies.
Yeah, that's what happened with Batman versus Superman for sure.
Yeah.
And the Snyder
Justice
cut,
League.
as great
Yeah.
as it was like 4 hours. Sheesh.
4 hours. Yeah, I was like, man, I'm gonna have a hard time watching this. I'm gonna have to take breaks. I'm gonna have to take a nap. You know?
But you know what? I think also because remember it was just Man of Steel, like that's all it was, and
Yeah.
then everything else. They're like, okay, we're gonna make a universe coming from this,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they just if the studio just wanted so much
Uh-huh.
because they had to introduce 4 members of the Justice League that we never saw,
Right.
and they wanted to make a Justice League movie right after. So that
Yeah.
was he probably had no choice but to put everything he could. in the
Yeah.
film.
My only thing is Batman versus Superman was a separate story in the comic books from whenever he faced Doomsday.
Yeah,
And so that was my biggest problem with that entire thing. I'm okay with Batman versus Superman. It happened in the comics. I have that comic book. I have the comic book. I have the Superman Death comic book from where he faced Doomsday and died. But those are two completely different timelines.
Yep, that's all it is. And at the same time, they're probably thinking, how do we make the Justice League antagonist look strong without Superman just beating him up in a few minutes?
Right.
Okay, let's kill him,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if did you ever read any of the Funeral for Friends comics that came out for Superman whenever he died in the 90s?
Yeah, but it was so long ago, I couldn't even tell you what happened.
The one thing that always sticks out to me is the fact that Bill and Hillary Clinton actually were put into the comic books at his funeral to speak at the funeral.
They have Vladimir Putin in a Doomsday Clock.
Do they really?
They don't say his name,
Uh-huh.
but he looks very like, well, maybe they do say his name, but he's obviously the president of Russia who looks like Vladimir Putin.
Right.
And they kind of allude that the president in
Okay.
the comic book is talking shit about Superman, the president of the United States.
Uh-huh.
And it's like he tweeted it, and you read the tweet, and you're like, oh, that could be Trump.
Yeah.
So they still even do it to this day. It's pretty
Oh
funny.
man. Yeah. I like sometimes whenever they do little things like that and put the real world stuff into comics, because it makes it better in some of the stories, and it gives you a nice little chuckle too.
Yeah, for sure. This turned into a comic book podcast.
It did. I actually have. Do you know the Toxic Masculinity, the Johnnies?
Uh, it sounds familiar.
So
I
they're
haven't worked with them.
Yeah, they're a wrestling tag team for Wrestling for a Cause. They're actually the tag team champions over there, and they came on a few months ago, and we ended up doing the same thing. Ended up talking about comic books to the point where at the end of this month, they're actually coming to my house, and we're going to record another episode just talking about comic books.
That's nice.
So yeah, like I said, this is If You Give a Dad a podcast, and anything can happen. Any subject can happen on this show. I love having great conversations with great people.
Awesome. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah,
This has been a lot of fun.
it definitely has. So if people want to follow you online, how can they do that?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at RefMJBell. So RefMJBell. And if you want to find me on Facebook, it's just MJ Bell. I try to make it easy. It's Ref MJ Bell. It's my Cash App too. If you want to send me some money. So no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, come on, follow me. I try to post pretty often. I put my schedule up for the month.
Okay. Hey, I've got my Cash App out there on my link tree. I have yet to have anybody send me anything yet. So if anybody wants to, one day, they can.
Gotta keep hope alive.
That's right. And the thing is I've had a couple of, since I've been doing the show, I've had an influx of new people sending me friend requests and stuff on Facebook. And some of them be like, okay, I have quite a few friends in common with you, and so, I'll accept it. And then immediately they'll send me a message and be like, what's your Cash App? I'm like, man, I wish that was true, but it's not,
Yeah. I've definitely started to do. I had the same problem where I would just accept anybody, and now I'm just like, after so many spam messages, like I don't know how it is for you, but I get people trying to sell me digital portraits of myself.
Really?
They'll pretend like they're gonna like, oh, we'll make a cartoon out of you. And I was like, no. I mean, I've gotten a dozen of these over the past year.
Yeah.
And so since I'm just tired of it and all the spam accounts, I don't know why all these spam accounts follow me and how many mutual friends we have on top of that.
Yeah, that blows me away.
How many, like, it'll be like a Brazilian lady in a slim bikini. There's like 15 mutual friends. And I'm like, come on, guys. Come on. Like, you look at her feed and there's nothing to do with wrestling. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
So I definitely filter it out now.
I had somebody the other day, and I'm not one who usually does this. Usually I'll just block them or whatever. But I decided, I'm going to have some fun and kind of mess with them. They told me that they are a podcast promoter for Apple Podcasts. And I knew it was, not true as soon as they came up. And so I said, okay, well, tell me some of the people that you've worked with that you've promoted podcasts for. And their answer was, I've promoted for Apple Podcasts. And I was like, no, that's not a podcast. That's a place where you can get a podcast, but that's not an actual podcast. And so it went back and forth for a while of them just, saying, well, I can promote for you and everything. So I ended up calling them, how did I put it? I called him the Mr. Spammer Man from Spammington or something like that. Or, no, Scammer Man from Scammingtonville. And he was like, what does scam mean?
Yeah, they always play dumb.
I know. And then eventually he got to the point where he was like, I'm sad. I need a job. He actually told me, he was like, I need a job. And I was like, I know. I was like, how about you become a podcast promoter? So, I just had a good time with him for a little while until he started getting sad there towards the end. So I just reported him finally. But, yeah.
I don't even entertain it. I guess that's a little patience. Still a little patience. It's a spam person, just block.
Yeah, like I said, that's what I normally do. Is I just automatically just block them. But I was like, I was talking to Joe Helms the other day, and I said, "Do you get these a lot?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I mess with them." So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try messing with one of these guys and see what happens. And I actually had a lot of fun. I even asked him if he wanted to speak to my manager, and he was like, "No, don't do that." I was like, "But he can help you with your car's extended warranty." So, yeah, I had my fun.
Nice.
All right, man. Well, we have kind of talked all over the board. Is there anything else that maybe you want to talk about before we get off here?
Man, no, I really think I've exhausted all my points.
All right.
I guess appreciate you having me on. It means a lot to me that you've reached out.
Yeah.
Not rare I get an opportunity to have an interview, so thank you.
Yeah. And just so you know, you are my first referee that I've had on the show.
That makes me glad. Hopefully there's just a lot of views and you'll be able to book more of us and hear their stories too.
Oh, for sure. And I would love to maybe have you come back on here in the future and maybe tell some of those stories from whenever you go to Japan.
Oh, I would love to.
All right, man.
Set it up.
That sounds great. All right. Well, I hope that you have a great trip and you have a great night, man.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
See ya.
In a time of inflation, COVID, monkeypox, and Amber Heard, you need to take a break from it all. Welcome to Love and Murder Podcast. With Love and Murder, you get 1 hour a week to kick back and listen to stories of relationships gone horribly wrong. Stories with true crime, mystery, suspense, and just a little bit of humor that's never at the expense of the victim. Come on, join hosts Kai and Shar over at www.murderandlove.com. That's Love and Murder backwards, murderandlove.com.
Hey everyone, this is Brian Ferguson. If you're listening to this, then I know you are enjoying the Bumps and Thumbs podcast. In order to continue to run the podcast and get guests on the show, we need support from people like you. Please go to anchor.fm/Brian, BRIAN -Ferguson, FERGUSON, 3, and click on the support button. Once you are there, you'll have options to select from to make a monthly contribution. Your support will help us get on wrestling stars that require financial compensation. Again, that's anchor.fm/Brian, BRIAN -Ferguson, FERGUSON, 3, and click on the support button. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, and enjoy the podcast.
This is Jack and Joe from Derazzled, the podcast that takes award-winning worst films
and fixes them.
It's not enough to just point out when a movie is bad.
Which we do.
Or to discover why the movie is so bad.
Which we do.
We go ahead and fix the whole damned thing.
Yes, we do.
Bad movies, good writing, a special brand of stupid.
That's Derazzled.
Find Derazzled at your favorite podcast spot.
We're sure to razzle-dazzle you.
All right, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed that episode with MJ Bell. I know that I had a great time talking with him. it was a lot of fun to kind of talk comic books with somebody. That's always a good time. And we got to talk some really cool stuff about wrestling and him being a ref in wrestling. So, like I said, I hope that you guys enjoyed it because I had a very good time talking with him. So I have some good episodes that are going to be coming up in the next few weeks. So next week I have with me Philip Douthit. He is the men's marriage mentor. He is going to bring a really unique perspective to the show, I believe. He's going to talk to us about what he does and how he can help people who feel they're on the verge of not making it as a married couple, how you can bring that back. So I am actually excited to have him on and see what he has to say. Then the week following, I have a couple cool dudes, like I've said before, that are going to be coming over here to talk with me about comic books and all kinds of other stuff, and that is Toxic Masculinity, the Johnnies. They will be in studio to talk with me, and I can't wait for that to happen. The week following that, I will be having on a wrestler out of the Oklahoma area. His name is Red James. And this guy, if any of you follow him online, you would be able to see why I'm laughing. This guy knows how to get a rise out of just about anybody. He is a great heel. He's great at what he does, and I am excited to have him on the show. I can't wait for you guys to hear what he has to say. I think he's going to bring some entertainment value to this show. So those are a few episodes that I'm actually really excited about that are going to be happening in the next few weeks, and I hope that you guys tune in. If you have any questions or comments that you would like me to ask these people that are coming on my show, you can send me an email at giveadadatapodcast@gmail.com. You can also send me messages on social media, or if you want to follow me on social media so you can keep up with what's going on with the show, you can do so by following me on Facebook, and that's at IYGADAP. That is the acronym for If You Give a Dad a Podcast, or as I like to say, IGADAP. So follow me on Facebook. Also, I am on Instagram. You can follow me there, and that's at Give a Dad a Podcast. You can also follow me on Twitter, and that is DadPodcast11. So look me up on there. Follow me on the social medias. I advertise all of my stuff on there. I'm also on YouTube now. I have a YouTube channel. If you prefer to listen to your podcasts on there, you can now do so on that platform as well. It's something that's slowly coming in the works, but it's something new and exciting. Also, I will be having merch that will be coming out very soon. I can't wait for you guys to see that. And I have some really cool announcements that will be coming up in the next few weeks that I can't wait to share with you guys. Good things are coming this way, and I can't wait to be able to tell you guys about them. So I said I wasn't going to do this because I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy or a Debbie Downer or anything like that. You know, I don't want to be the stick in the mud guy. But as you know, a few weeks ago I had to postpone an episode of my show because of air conditioning issues. Well, that was July 26th when our air conditioner went out. As I'm recording this right now, it is September 14th, and I am still with that air conditioning. When we bought our home, we were told that the air conditioning unit was original to the home, and that we should get a home warranty to take care of that so we don't have a large out-of-pocket expense. So we did the adult thing and got a home warranty. Now, I won't mention the name of the home warranty company because I don't want nobody coming after me or anything. But it's almost 2 months later and we still haven't gotten it fixed. During this time, we have had 5 people who have been scheduled to come look at it. 2 of the companies that they scheduled to come look at it turned out to be fraudulent companies. They did not exist. They had online phone numbers that weren't actual phone numbers, and they led to nowhere, or nobody ever answered and nobody ever showed up. One of the companies told us that, which we were told, don't do this. They said, we need you to pay us before we even come out to the house. So we told them, no, we won't be doing that. And we said, we have yet to talk to anybody, so we don't even know if you're real people. They said, we will call you within 5 minutes. Waited hours. Nobody ever called us. 2 times that's happened with fraudulent companies. 2 of the other times that this has happened, so I'm sorry, I guess I'm wrong. It hasn't been 5 times. It's been 6 different people who have been put on this. 2 of the other times, we had people that were scheduled to come and look at our AC unit, and the first one called us a couple days before and said, I'm sorry, I no longer work with your home warranty company because they aren't paying us. And so we're no longer working with them. So they canceled our appointment. So that was the first one. Then we had 2 fraudulent ones in a row. Then the next one, we got it scheduled. I called them personally to try to make sure, because we had already had all these problems. And when I got on the phone with them, they told me, hold on just a minute, we have somebody that you need to talk to. They sent me to another person that's higher up in the organization, and they told me that they never accepted a claim with this company. In fact, whenever they called them to get them to accept the claim, they told them no due to lack of payment. So that's twice now that there have been other companies that said, no, we're not working with you due to lack of payment. So about when that happened, I decided to go online and start looking to see what's going on. And so we also decided we were going to try to do the reimbursement plan, where we have somebody ourselves come out and then they just pay us back. So I got to looking online about that, and with this particular company, every review that I found of somebody trying to do a reimbursement claim, the company would find a reason why they could not reimburse them. They would say, oh, you didn't do this, or you didn't fill out this little piece of paperwork. You didn't follow our protocol, therefore you foot the entire bill. So I didn't want that to happen, so I said I would rather stay on the waiting list and use a window unit for the time being until somebody will actually come out here. So finally, we got another person that said that they would come out here and look at our air conditioning unit. He came out here, told us, yes, this unit is built in 96, I believe it was, because our house is an older home. And they said, we can't work on this. It's completely shot. You need a new unit. Well, you would think, okay, so what are we going to do? He says, well, I submit this paperwork to the home warranty company, and then they can approve it. When he told us, there's no way that they can't, there's no way that they won't approve this, because the unit that they have is no longer able to be worked on because of the type of unit it is. They don't allow, the government does not allow them to put Freon in these types of units anymore. So we're like, okay, cool. So we thought it was pretty much a guarantee that we were going to get a new unit. So he submitted it, said that it submitted just fine. Then the company comes back and says, oh, we never got anything from them. The company that's supposed to be paying this now all of a sudden is playing dumb and saying, oh, we didn't get the paperwork for that. So we had the guy submit it another time. And it said that it successfully submitted the paperwork to them. And they still said, no, it didn't come through. We're going to have to reschedule somebody else to come out there because he's not doing it right. So, and mind you, each time that these people are supposed to come out, the ones that actually do come out, we pay a fee to them. So we called them, and we talked to them many times on the phone, and they always were the worst customer service. Whenever you talked to them on the phone, you couldn't get anywhere when it came to them. They always just told you the same thing. Oh, we can resubmit it. We can start the claim over and have another technician come out. That was always their answer. Then they told us, we finally got past them and got to another department, and they told us that they were going to escalate it, which we were told by the other department that's impossible. We don't have an emergency escalation here. We only do this one thing. So we had been lied to about that. Then they said, well, we're sorry, so we will refund you your last month's payment. Okay. They decided they were going to get us somebody else out there, and they said they were going to refund the last month's payment. They said it would be back in our account within a few days. 2 weeks go by. No payment comes back into our account. We actually had to call them again, and they're like, oh, yeah, we dropped the ball on that. So finally, tonight, we had somebody, and this started, like I said, July 26th. Today is September 14th. We had another person come out here, check our AC unit, said exactly what the other one did. And now he goes to submit the claim, and it says that the claim number does not exist. So we get a hold of them, and they tell us, oh, we closed that claim down. What? Why would you close down the claim when it has not been fixed? When we've had all of these issues with you already, you're going to close down our claim without it being fixed? This is terrible customer service that we're getting from these people. But they finally said, oh, we'll reopen the claim. They said, tell them to resubmit it again. So where we're at, the last time, right before I came out here to record this, I spoke with my wife, and she said that the guy resubmitted it, and it is still saying that it is not a valid claim number. So that's where we're at right now with the air conditioning in my house. And I know that's a long story, but this has been a nightmare. So use this as a cautionary tale. If you go to get a home warranty, do your research on these people, because there are some scammers out there when it comes to this. They are ridiculous. Like I said, I'm not going to name names on who we're using because I don't want anybody to try to come after me. But do your research when it comes to getting a claim or getting a home warranty for your house. They're good to have, but you just got to have the right company. So anyways, that was just a story that I wanted to relate to you guys. If you guys have any stories that you would like me to share on this show, send me an email, send me a message. If you have something you want to talk about, hit me up. Let me know what you want to talk about. So I'm going to bring this show to a close. I enjoy doing this. I love bringing you guys these episodes. And I thank you so much for your support. You guys have been awesome. And I can't wait to bring you more episodes. So if you like this episode, make sure that you rate it and review it. And share it with your friends. And share it with your enemies as well. Just share it with everybody, because there's something for everyone here, I believe. And yeah, just tell me what you think of this episode. So yeah, I love you guys. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye. If you enjoyed our show, come back next week. Come on, guys. You know you want to come back. Might get some laughs. Oh, wow.